It's high noon in Jamaica on Wednesday, May 10th, 2023. And on the bridge, that line that brings together people of Jamaican origin, of Jamaican affection from all over the world, the Bridge 99 FM presents The Public Eye, where we look at Jamaican events, where we talk about the heartstrings and soul strings of our nation. And we present it to you for your thoughts, for your judgment, for your enthrallment. This is a wonderful land. This is a worthy place. And therefore we invite you, the Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr. and myself, join you for the next 2 hours. Shortly we'll join our colleague, because we are Jamaicans, but we're also a Caribbean people. We join our colleague Irwine Clare of Irie Jam Radio for the Global Connection. He's in Barbados covering tourism activities there and in the Caribbean. There's much to talk about. And after that, interspersed with your input, as you please, Ralston Hyman, the financial analyst and well-known commentator, friend of this program, talks to us about things that you in the United States and elsewhere should be concerned about too, which is the unresolved issue of the borrowing powers of the American government and the impasse that's once again rearing its head about that. And then we have a huge trade deficit in Jamaica that we have to talk about as well with him. So, serious stuff, interesting stuff on The Public Eye. We have an open mind. Our numbers are 876-551-5782 and our studio line is 876-6764-996. And remember, you can also watch our live stream at www.thebridge99fm.com, wherever you are in the world. And follow us on Instagram at the Bridge99FM and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Bridge99FM, to watch previous episodes of this program. You can also keep up with all the happenings by downloading the Bridge99FM app in the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. Thanks so much for being with us. Honorable Pearnel, greetings.
Greetings, Ronnie, greetings. And as a former Minister of Education, I am very concerned about what's going on in your schools today, with your teachers.
Today is Teachers' Day, I think.
Today is Teachers' Day?
Yes, and so we give thanks for everyone who has undertaken that vocation. But at the same time, we need to hear you, because I believe you are on good ground when you express concern as to what's happening in that profession in Jamaica. Go ahead.
Well, Ronnie, I'm saying, if I look back years ago at age 7, when I was presented at the door with my little slate and my certificate, my vaccination certificate to enter into school. I didn't have any basic school connection then, so I could only spell rat, cat, bat, pat, and count to 100 and learn ABC from A to Z then, not Z, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now,
solid.
If I were going to school today, I'd be dead, because my grandson, who is 4 years old, is reading nearly as good and can spell nearly as good and do maths. And when I have a problem with my computer, I ask him to come and fix it. And 5 years old.
Indeed, I have the same experience.
No, so generation have changed. But what, in my opinion, has changed that is bothering me is that Teacher Williams was a headmaster. And all the teachers in that school recognize him as, well, my word, the boss.
Sure.
So if there's a problem with a child or a parent of a child,
it's referred to him.
They go to him up his table, have a chat with him, and he either come down with them or give some instructions. So if there's a boy in school, that is a problem. Teacher will either come for him or come to find him and take him to the parents. In other words, the principal at the school had a role, a father's role in a family. that I don't see today. And I have no objection to women going at principals.
Yeah.
Because, as I told you about a woman in Clarendon, a dynamic woman, probably she's more dynamic than any man
Yeah.
in running things. But, Ronnie, the school thing, you speak to me. You are a minister. You are in there. You are the teachers. You are to look over children that coming out of school that can't read.
First of all,
How can they pass from ABC to second class, to third class, to fourth class, and can't read?
well, this is it. And it's the problem, I am embarrassed to say, and I take some level of personal responsibility for, is worse even than the Minister of Education, Mrs. Williams, acknowledges. It is a serious problem. If I could give you a general statement at first, the education revolution, which is essential to Jamaica's solving of the crime problem and its economic problems and its issues of social cohesion, cannot take place unless we are prepared to rethink entirely who teaches in school, under what circumstances, and what we teach, and how we relate and covenant between parent and teacher, how we redefine the role of the person, male or female, who stands in Mr. Williams' stead right now.
Okay, let's hold the word right
Yes.
there. Okay, make a point. Who teaches in school? In other words, a teacher should not just have a job to teach.
Yeah.
A teacher has to have a commitment.
Has to have a vocation.
A vocation.
Yeah, but then you can't.
Like, you see, it's like you don't go in the police force because you're looking at work.
You shouldn't.
You don't go into to the teacher. In other words, you can't be a doctor unless you're trained.
Yeah. But as we bring our friend Irwine Clare in from the beautiful Bimshire shores of Barbados, then we have to ask, where is the national spirit? What fuels it? How much do we reward that person of vocation? Why is it that Mr. Williams would have that singular commitment?
Williamson.
Mr. Williamson,
yes.
although he was probably getting £2.10 a month. Yes? And now, are they getting enough?
But you just solved the problem by saying something that strikes right in my head.
Yeah.
Are you a teacher or you got a job for teaching in a school?
You can't take the commitment to the supermarket. Irwine Clare.
Yes, gentlemen, I'm hearing about £2.10 and all that kind of stuff, which is not good words to teachers these days, especially with the cost of living and all that. But great conversations, gentlemen. Thank you for that.
Good morning and welcome.
And
what are you doing in Barbados? Irwine Clare of Irie Jam and the Bridge.
First and foremost, let me say good day to our listeners both in Jamaica and especially those in the tri-state area. We're broadcasting live today, part of the Irie Jam Bridge 99 collaboration. We're broadcasting from the Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41 being held here in Barbados. This is indeed the first year that Barbados is hosting this prestigious conference, and it brings together a collection of stakeholders in the tourism industry, not only to speak of the things that they have accomplished, but to speak of new products and things that are in the works, and at the same time to extol the virtues and the importance of tourism in many of the small island states here in the Caribbean. And the Caribbean has been heralded, Ronnie and Pearnel, as the region that has been the most resilient and bounced back with their tourism product than any other region in the world. Mm-hmm. So it's a very pristine and very moment of importance that it should be held here in Barbados. As you both gentlemen would know, Barbados also is the home to one Mia Moore Motley that just seems to have the world listening to her every time she speaks. And yesterday was no different at the opening at the Sandals Hotel here in Bridgetown, where she extolled the virtues of tourism, yes, but at the same time gave challenges to the stakeholders as to some of the things that they should be doing. But before I jump off, gentlemen, I just want to, because we are in the nation of Barbados, I'd like to my first guest here to welcome both our listening audiences to Barbados. We have with us Miss Keisha Springer. She's a public relations corporate communications manager, and she's just gonna speak to us briefly, gentlemen, about welcoming us here to Barbados and what it means for Barbados. Welcome, Keisha.
Hi, morning. Oh, well, thank you so much. And as you said, welcome to Destination Barbados.
All right, gentlemen, are you hearing her?
We're hearing this unique Bajan accent, which kind of titulates every Jamaican. Of course, we're hearing you.
Said, good morning and welcome to Destination Barbados. It's great to have you guys here. Have you here.
Thank you very much from Jamaica.
Share with us, Keisha, the importance of this conference to Barbados at this time. Talk to us from that perspective.
I find it's very important for us to bring in these suppliers and these buyers from all over the world. And as you did mention, this is the first time Barbados is hosting the CHTA conference, and this is the opportunity to afford these tourism suppliers to meet face to face with some wholesalers, and they have the opportunity to sell Caribbean vacation travel, let others know why not only Barbados, but the Caribbean region as a whole is the vacation region of choice.
Indeed. And coming out of COVID, many regions, of course, some regions are still not as efficient with their products as the Caribbean region. Mm-hmm. How has Barbados fared?
If I could plug us a little bit, Barbados does boast itself on being a 365 destination island. We offer multiple products. There's luxury, there's culinary, there's sports, there is health and wellness, there's ecotourism. So there's something here for almost anyone, any generation, any age, any activity.
Indeed. And gentlemen, I gather by now you know Barbados being the gem here in the Caribbean, always known as the little London of the region. When we go around the country, we go around the city. The last year, of course, you'd have removed yourself from the monarchy.
Yes.
And I always ask this question to persons there in Barbados: what does that mean for you as a Barbadian?
That brings us great pride to be able to stand on our own, and to, we do give thanks to the monarchy. We've been under them for many years, but now we are the republic, and I think it was a good and a huge step for us, and a big step.
Mm-hmm. No. Tourism, of course, represents a significant part of the existence of the economy.
That's right.
What are the motivator factors there, especially when we hear of in many regions and they're suffering from the shortages of workers in the industry? Are you guys experiencing that here in Barbados?
Currently, no. We were having that. Obviously during COVID, just as anybody else, but there's no because tourism is one of our major sources of income currently right now. I find that the tourism industry is booming pretty much in the activities, in the accommodations, also in my area as well, the destination management companies as well. So I would say no.
Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, any questions for Ms. Springer?
Yeah, well, I need to ask you a question, because you're down there talking as if Barbados is much bigger than Jamaica.
I said, I'm in the nation.
And the population of Barbados is bigger than us. Now, that is not to take away from the standard that Barbados has presented to the tourists, particularly the British tourists. I said British. I don't know if other countries have taken over from Little England, Big England.
No, one thing you'll know, Pearnel, is that Barbados caters to a swath of tourists from all over the region.
That's correct. The UK is still our number one source market, but we do see visitors coming in from the US, from Canada. Actually, we're seeing an influx of travelers now coming in from the Latin America market as well. And then we have some interest in the UAE market. So recently we had a team led by our Minister of Tourism, Honorable Ian Gooding-Edgell, who just recently visited the Arabian travel market for the first time, and there is a lot of interest coming out of that market as well. So although England does stand as a number one source market, we are having visitors coming from all over, all ages as well.
Ronnie?
Every country of the Caribbean is offering the same thing.
And Caribbean as well too. We do see an influx of Caribbean travelers coming in, especially for our signature event. So they do come in for the Crop Over Festival, the Swedish Summer Festival, which kicks off in July to August. And then we've seen an influx of travelers coming in from Trinidad. I've seen some Jamaicans last year as well too. Hope we can get them back here for our Food and Rum Festival. And then we also had some Jamaicans here running for Rum Barbados, which is our annual Caribbean Marathon.
Yes, indeed. Well, listen, Barbados is our host. It's the first time that Barbados is hosting this prestigious conference. It's opportunistic for them as well, as it was indeed a challenge. But they have managed to put it together thus far. All systems go here, and significant amount of buyers and sellers and stakeholders in the industry. Tourism, of course, is the lifeblood, as I said, for many small island nations here in the region. And Barbados is indeed putting on a show here on behalf of the Caribbean for the rest of the world.
Keisha Springer, is your minister from Jamaica down there?
Yeah, man, him soon come.
And I know that he wants to join the Caribbean together. That a tourist can leave from Jamaica to Barbados, you know.
He's been a champion of that.
Caribbean island feeling rather than just come to
one nation.
And go back.
Yes, and that's been something he's been championing. But we're gonna set free now Miss Keisha Springer, because I know she has lots of work to do. She's out there greeting folks and carrying on the business as we await for our next guest. But thank you very much, Miss Springer, and we look forward to talking to you more.
And hopefully I can see some of your colleagues coming over to Barbados as well.
All right. You see she's just sent you an invitation there, Pearnel.
She wants to spread.
Well, I tell you something. You know, my heart has been waiting for that invitation.
All right.
I just start to beat. I'm on my way.
Okay. All right.
I'll be there to greet you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Springer.
Thank you
lady,
as well.
yes.
All right. Gentlemen, yesterday's opening, Prime Minister Mayor Motley was really on par. I mean, she gave challenges out. One of the things that she threw out was, at this stage of the game, we must realize that tourism has been with us for a long time, and the tourists that initiated this whole movement here in the Caribbean were some of our neighbors, and some of our neighbors to the south, Latin and South America. And she's very much interested in developing that market, and not necessarily just a total dependence on the majors, but growing the product as far as possible.
My questions, you see, and you're going to put them to whoever your guests were,
yes.
as we might have put them to Miss Springer. We're all offering the same thing. Is there enough to go around? And the bigger question is, while tourism is indeed attractive and alluring, how much of the revenue of tourism do we actually keep?
And that's a question, my next guest, your affable Minister of Tourism, whom we are waiting to join us, I'm quite sure he'll be a position to answer. And to go back to that other question, because and we also will be joined later on, two gentlemen, by the president of the Caribbean Hotel and Travel Association, Mrs. Nicola Madden-Greig, a Jamaican, who has been doing a fantastic job in re-engineering the whole process here. And I think those are questions that are
I have another
fair,
one for them. On a regular basis, when I visit the Southern Caribbean, I have to go through the United States in order to get to the Eastern Caribbean.
And that, Ronnie, has to do with the whole flight patterns.
When you tell me about blending the Caribbean, as Pearnel rightly said is an ideal, how does that work? Talk straight now. There's no cruise ship that goes from Jamaica to Barbados.
The transportation is part of the presentation by Bartlett.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, and that has been an Achilles heel, because
when I was a student, Irwine Pearnel, we had two Canadian boats, the Federal Maple and the Federal Palm. And we as school leavers were encouraged at the time of Federation to go know the rest of the Caribbean. And we traveled up and down the region. Extraordinary learning experience. Consolidated us, our thinking as West Indians, soon to be dashed by the insularity of the independence movement, the insular independent movement. Okay? But not even that exists now. So what really are we talking about? I mean, on the public eye, we're talking straight.
We are talking about a development that now going to take in even South America, right?
What about Cuba?
Cuba.
Cuba. And those are the fast growing markets, by the way. Those are fast growing markets.
I mean, can I take 10 seconds to tell you? I was in Cuba, and when a boat landed, and I was wondering, where the hell people coming from, sir?
Yes.
I mean, it's just crawl off.
Yeah.
Now, if that land there in Barbados or in Trelawney or other in Grenada, I mean, that's what Bartlett touched me as he would like to see a tourist leave Canada and touch all the islands before they get back.
I think it's a wonderful ideal, but how's it going to work?
As you have said, transportation is something that you have to talk about.
Well, two things here, though. And the bit I know about, I've been to these conferences before.
Yes.
And one of the things that constantly comes up is the whole aspect of intra-air travel. And it has now been further, challenged because, as you know, LEA no longer exists. So there is now lesser transportation opportunities or seat capacities in between islands. Now, when we talk about
American Airlines and American Eagle
and all those
are
things,
the ones who make the money which the Caribbean should keep.
Right. And so as we look at these whole new markets now, it will comes down to the carriers that can fly from those countries without having to go to the United States, where one would need a visa. There are no in-transit visas anymore. Right. You know, so how is that? How will that be achieved? And these are the questions I believe that Nicola
waiting for you to ask
our minister.
Yes, good.
Yeah.
In the meanwhile, there is no doubt that it is part of the Caribbean nature to welcome visitors and to show ourselves. Vera Rubin, the American anthropologist, wrote a book where we like to be looked upon. And it represents a part of the Caribbean character. So tourism is a natural one for us.
Indeed, yes? Indeed.
However, there are other aspects to it that we have to consider. Certainly in Jamaica, the concern is that that Jamaicans are being excluded from participation in many of the facilities of tourism.
Indeed,
the beaches are up for grabs, are not accessible to many. Yes,
I am going to take.
But gentlemen, can we do this? Can we do this? Because the minister's run us a minute or so late, and I probably would like to just take the commercial break now.
Sure.
And then when we come back, we'll have more time to speak.
This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, linking with Irwine Clare in Barbados, the Global Connection. Thanks for joining us on the Bridge 99. The program is The Public Eye. I'm Ronald Thwaites, the Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr., the co-host, and we're linking for the Global Connection with Irwine Clare of Irie Jam in the tri-state area, who's visiting in Barbados.
Gentlemen, and welcome you back to the Public Eye. Of course, the broadcasting live, Irwine Clare here from Bridgeton, Barbados on Irie Jam 93.5 and the Bridge 99 FM. And we're coming to you live from the Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41 being held here in Barbados. It brings together a collective of tourism stakeholders to discuss the matters pertaining to the tourism industry and the things that they have done to bring them to where they are, number one, but also how effective they were coming out of COVID and some of the plans going forth. We are awaiting the arrival of course, our Minister of Tourism, who when he walks through these halls here, gentlemen, he walks through like a rock star, because he cannot just walk without anybody not stopping him, because Ed Bartlett is a rock star. And as I bring him on to, you must congratulate him as well, because yesterday he was awarded the Tourism Excellence Award by the Caribbean Tourism Hotel Association. So Pearnel, Charles,
yes?
you have the first dip at Ed Bartlett, Minister of Tourism, to congratulate him.
Well, Ed, I'm going to congratulate you on the basis that Canada is listening, New York is listening, or America, Britain is listening, Jamaica is listening, that I discovered you and that I brought you into politics.
And you need a lawyer?
And I feel very proud of your performance now. And you're certainly going forward. And all I can say, give us some transportation to put in progress what you're pushing. Join the Caribbean, that the tourists that come to Jamaica can easily travel to the rest of the Caribbean, including Cuba.
Yes, that's a very important part of the new thrust that we have to make in Caribbean tourism. Air connectivity, has been the big elephant in the room, and for too long. And I think that we're beginning to feel that the ambition is here for a greater alliance, and that alliance to bring some fruit to the struggle for transportation efficiencies within the Caribbean.
Where's the capital likely to come from, Minister?
I know Minister Charles, I still call you Minister. When you were Minister for Transportation in Jamaica, you were very instrumental in working through with airline partners. I think it might have been British Airways, and it was not then Caribbean Airways, it was British West, BWIA, BW as we call it, right? And also,
while you're on that, Ed, I said I welcomed the first flight that you had breakfast in London, lunch in Jamaica.
Yes.
What was the name of that speed?
No, you had the great supersonic. I remember that.
I welcome the first
you
supersonic to Jamaica.
You
That's
and
good.
Minister Hugh Hart were there, he being at the heart of it all.
Indeed.
But you were our Minister of Transport of great distinction, and we can't forget that.
Indeed.
So.
Listen, Minister. Tourism, of course, this Marketplace 41 being held here in Barbados for the first time. It's a significant endeavor for Barbados, because normally these conferences are held in the Jamaicas, the Bahamas, and elsewhere. Talk to us about your reflection on Barbados hosting this conference and your opinions on it thus far.
Well, first of all, I think it started with a bang yesterday. Really outstanding. It was a strong day of good activation, but a strong, what we call, thought leadership arrangement. The organizers did extremely well. They brought very good speakers. We got great data, solid information, and we had a chance also to ask good questions and get good responses that enable us to look down the road to the future as to where tourism is going to go in the Caribbean. So Barbados, I think, has done marvelously well. I want to congratulate the Minister, my friend Ian Gooding, and also Prime Minister Mayor Motley, who spoke so eloquently and well yesterday at the opening ceremony, and of course hosting last night a very, very elegant party that kicked off the celebrations here of Marketplace. And Marketplace signal again here in Barbados the resurgence of tourism in the Caribbean. We really saw very active support from all our partners. A number of travel partners are here, both on the private sector and public sector side, as well as tourism media, strong tourism media. So we really, on reflection, are saying thanks to Barbados. This is a good start for the recovery, but beyond recovery to growth. And I'm hoping that Jamaica will follow suit, and next year we have a very strong and powerful activation.
She gave a challenge out yesterday, several of course, but one that stood out has to do with the whole marketing of the region and marketing. Why can't there be a Caribbean marketing thrust as relates to who markets the Caribbean now and the price points, etc. What would you say is your take on that? Should the fact that we know the product, we seem to have we have the skill sets, but that part of the meal chain seem to be the part that we somehow have not managed to capture, and that
right.
is.
Well, I think the challenge in this is to find some homogeneity, around whether it is the product itself or it is around the air packages that can be put together. And the difficulty to put the two together is really the challenge. One, for example, is that the diversity of products within our space and the varying price points would sort of put us in a difficult position to create a single package. So what we may have to do is to look at it in terms of the Northern Caribbean on the one side and the Southern Caribbean on the other side. There's far more homogeneity in terms of product types, and consequently price points when you look at it in these two areas. And so we can look at how to develop now the air service arrangements on the Northern Caribbean. What then can we look at in terms of protocols that are to be harmonized, like border control situations, airspace use, cost, for example, of access to the different destinations. And the most important part of the ambition, of course, is going to be a common visa regime. Because if it is that you can land in Jamaica and you become domestic to, Dom Rep, Cuba, Mexico, as the case may be, and you can land in Barbados and you're domestic to St. Lucia, St. Kitts, Nevis, Anguilla, the works. On that basis, we will be able to enable what you call seamless connectivity within the region. Now, these are factors that will all come together to create the single package for marketing. So when you market the region, you can say to the world that want to come in, pretty much like how they do in Europe with the Schengen arrangement, right? Once you get into the Caribbean, here's a single package. With one price, you can have the benefit of Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Kitts.
That has to be air. That has to be air rather than sea.
Well, primarily air. Sea would be because sea already has.
Sea will be
has that arrangement already.
Sea has that arrangement with the cruise arrangements.
Yes.
Because multi-destination is in fact how the cruise operate. And it's a single package they pay, and it gives you a 7-night or 7-day tour of many parts of the Caribbean.
One of the things, and I think Ronnie echoed this in when we're waiting for you to arrive here, the similarities in the product is tourism, sand, beach, and sun, and their attractions and whatever. It's a collectivity of competitors in the room. What differentiates the marketplace here?
Right. So now that's part
Good
of
question.
what makes the difference. You see, when, for example, we in Jamaica, we've taken a different tack on this. We're saying now we're going after what you call the Blue Ocean strategy. That is, we're seeking to be at a level where competitiveness is not the game. For us, it is distinctiveness. It is what in economics you call comparative advantage. We're seeking to create products that are exceptional and unique. We're doing new attractions that are not found anywhere else, in the region. And we're also looking at how to leverage our culture, our distinctive culture, to create products out of which, again, are unique and special to Jamaica. So that's one of the things that I believe not just we in Jamaica would be doing, but the rest of the Caribbean will be doing also. So yes, the common feature is sand, sea, and sun. So that is at the core of your marketing arrangement. But around it are these distinguishing features that are unique to you that you can sell as added on to the sand, sea, and sun.
Ronnie?
Minister, how are we going to be able to better keep the resources of tourism within our economies? You've estimated, I think, that about 40% of the take of the industry in Jamaica remains here. Can you confirm that, and how are we going to double that?
Right. So now, Ronnie, thanks, and I was sure you were on. So my own greetings to you.
No,
Ronnie,
happily.
former minister. This seems to be a station of ministers and former ministers.
Well, there are noted exceptions here.
Oh, because there's a clear note on the other side.
It's a purposeful one,
Irwine owns that clear note.
Indeed. Got you.
Now, to the point. And that's a discussion that we've had here, and I was very pleased to hear Prime Minister Motley yesterday on that. Because, you see, the essence of tourism is not accommodation. In other words, it's not staying at a hotel or wherever. It's not even the beach and that you go to. It's the products that you consume when you're in Jamaica, when you're in Barbados, when you're in Trinidad, across the Caribbean. And so what enables us to retain the wealth is our ability to produce those products that are consumed by the visitor when they arrive. The agricultural products. 42% of the expenditure of a visitor is on food.
Yes.
There's no reason for you to not be able to multiply your food experiences in Jamaica based on your local products by and large, and of course augmented by other products which have to come in, because we don't produce rice, for example.
Sure.
We don't produce flour and all, and those are basic ingredients for much of the staple diet.
And what a wonderful
just
day
of
it will be,
Jamaica,
Minister,
but
when
our
we
visitors.
when we can
So-
offer our
Right,
products to the people in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean.
Absolutely. So here's the broader discussion now, Ronnie, as to how we can recognize that tourism brings an expanded market. So let's take Jamaica with 3 million people, roughly 2.9. Yeah. Okay. We have 4.3 million visitors coming to us. Take out cruise. Let's say somewhere around another 3 million stopovers. The stopovers are the people who are almost part of your new population, because they stay 3-4 weeks, some even longer, and a few days in some instances. But they consume constantly.
Sure.
So what you're saying is that our market has just increased by at least another 500,000 mouths to be fed every day
Yes.
for
Periods of time.
365.
Yeah.
So what we're saying also is that the consumption pattern of the tourist is 5 times minimum that of the local. In other words, I will have one egg if I'm lucky for the day. The tourist will have 5, 6, 7 eggs.
Yeah.
Plus, you have to have eggs for him, for his punches that he makes, for the salads that you create for him, and then the pastry that you make for him. So it's a huge amount of eggs that he alone consumes. Treat with that in terms of almost everything else. Wines that he drinks. I'm lucky if I get one glass of wine for that day. He's probably having a bottle.
Yeah.
Follow? Transportation. He's using your best transportation, the highest cost. He's living in your best conditions. He's doing all of the things at the highest level of consumption. So therefore, your market potential has just increased 5-fold as a result of one tourist coming in.
Yeah.
Now, all I'm saying here is that we know. Sorry,
Hold on, Pearnel. Hold on.
Pearnel, this is very important to finish,
Okay, go
because the investment in the supply side is what's going to make the Caribbean and Jamaica wealthy from tourism.
Clearly.
So we must now start to produce more pots, pans, and cans and kettles. You know that phrase? Yes. More furniture that they use in the industry. More sheets, pillowcase, beds, mattresses. We must produce more towels, more of everything that is consumed by the visitor. And then entertainment. My God, we are the entertainment mecca of arguably the world. So we can provide so much there. Our festivals, sports, our art, so much of us. Everything that we as a being creatively can produce within our space is consumable by the visitor at a price.
Indeed.
That's the wealth of tourism. So we get quarreling about the hotels and say hotel room and investors and money going abroad. We have a responsibility in our space to provide all the things that the visitor needs, and we'll be wealthy.
You were saying, Pearnel.
Right. He is also a prophet.
Ronnie?
He's also a prophet.
As we...
Because he's answering my question before I asked him.
All right, well, you taught him. You taught him.
If 41% of consumption comes from Jamaica, the rest is imported?
No, well, what we are saying is that at the moment, yes, meaning to say two elements of cost. One is the acquisition cost of the tourist. You see, because a tourist doesn't come to you cheaply. You have airline tickets to pay for, you have marketing costs and so on and so forth. Right? And then you have to deal with investments in the sector that are foreign direct, that provides an opportunity for payment of, their loans and what have you externally, right? And then, of course, you have to look at what are the elements of cost in relation now to the consumption needs. That is, how much rice and flour you had to import, how much meat and you had to import, and so on and so forth. So that's what the 60% is. The 40% is what we sell them from our local stock in Jamaica.
Listen, the gentleman, I have to release the minister now because he, like I said, he walked in here as a rock star.
Yes.
And I'm quite certain he's going to walk out here as a rock star. And we have other rock stars here.
Yes.
He's not the only one here, all right? As a matter of fact, even more beautiful. That is not to say he's beautiful now, but Minister, thank you very much.
Let's be clear about this, Irwine.
Listen, thank you very much for what you do, sir. Of course, I know you have lots of work to do, and I stole a few moments
I think he was trying to make the point that Nicola is beside me. Far more beautiful, far more charming, far more alluring. Absolutely,
anyway,
Nicola.
Thank you very much, Minister. All right, and congratulations again. Gentlemen, we're going to try and get this interview, and before we get to the top of the hour, the person who has really transformed Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, she won't even comment on that, is a new president, and new development, new process, new methodology as to how the whole conference is even conducted. Yesterday morning was evidence of that. We welcome now to the airwaves of Irie Jam, the Bridge 99, Nicola Madden-Greig, the president of Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association. Welcome, President.
Great to be here, Irwin.
So share us right off the top. How has the conference been thus far, meeting your expectations?
Absolutely. It has been so wonderful. As you said yesterday, we started with the Caribbean Travel Forum, our second year having the forum, where we discussed the business of tourism and definitely focused on some of the issues pending for the day: multi-destination marketing, resilience, sustainability, technology, and how that's going to drive the new Caribbean tourism. So it was really good. We shared a lot of information on data, how we are performing as a region. The Caribbean is the number one most resilient region. We have bounced back regarding other regions in tourism, and we are the number one most recovered. So we're almost 100% back to our 2019 figures, which was the most wonderful year and the biggest year for Caribbean tourism. It's not a unilateral recovery. Some destinations are recovering faster than others, but the good thing is that we're on the right track. People are discovering different sides of the Caribbean product, and we're very excited. So today we are on the trade show floor. We have over 178 supplier companies as hotels, attractions, destination management companies, etc. A record level attendance for this marketplace, and we have over 100 buyer companies from all over the world who are here to meet with our partners in tourism and, of course, bring more and more visitors to the Caribbean. So far, very good. We have had a wonderful opening. There's a series of press conferences today where different destinations will be showcasing what they're doing in terms of development and the different products and services. The Caribbean is long beyond sun, sea, and sand. We have, yes, the most wonderful beaches and the beautiful sunshine, but we're really now trying to share with the world all the other activities, all the experiences that you can have when you come to the Caribbean.
Indeed. Ronnie?
How critical is price, Nicola Madden-Greig? Are we after the top end of the market or an economy market? Is it volume or is it a higher price point?
Well, actually, our data is showing that we are attracting a higher end of the market. We are seeing more persons paying premium class seats to come here. We are seeing a higher ADR across the board. There is more and more development in the upscale and luxury end of the market across all destinations. But at the same time, there is a place for the traveler who would be on a little more constrained budget, and we don't want to exclude anyone from having a Caribbean experience. So we like to offer the fact that the Caribbean has so much diversification across accommodations, across attractions, so you can have your personalized Caribbean experience, whatever that is. If you are working, for more a value experience, we do have the product for you. And of course, if you want the upscale luxury experience, we definitely have that for you. And as I said, that segment is growing.
Interesting, because the high-end tourists can go anywhere in the world. By virtue of proximity, I would have thought that I imagine, without knowing, you will tell me that some parts of the Caribbean are in fact looking for volume, aren't they?
There is always a mix, as I said.
Yeah.
We have larger destinations which has a portion of their strategy. It's never their full strategy.
Right.
For a more volume. But in that strategy, they still also are looking at the luxury and the upscale segment. So as I said, because of the uniqueness of the Caribbean product and that we do have an ability to offer different experience in the same destination. I give my home country of Jamaica. I mean, we definitely have an ability. We have 6 separate resort areas. Each one offers its own unique experience. We have luxury, we have upscale, and we also have higher volume all-inclusives. So, we are looking now, I think, more and more destinations and offering more bespoke experiences and coming out of that word that I won't say, but the last 2.5 years, what we went through. There was a lot of visitors who came and wanted to have more private tours, more bespoke experiences, and that has developed a tour segment that is focused on that. There are those who came and wanted to discover on their own and to do hikes and go into the hinterlands and do more community tourism and have authentic experiences, farm to table experiences, and we're seeing more of that product being developed. Of course, we have the shared economy, and that is also a growing segment in the villas and apartments market. So I think when you think about the Caribbean, when you think about each destination, there is something for everyone, and some are doing different combinations of products and going after different segments of the market as a percentage, and nothing is wrong with that.
Let me ask you this, Nicola. Yesterday, of course, Jamaica was issued an award, the Destination Resilience Award. Share with us, what is that, and what were the fundamental things that Jamaica played to achieve that such?
So just to take it back, last year, we as CHTA, and my team, we looked and we said, the one thing that really worked for us coming out of this pandemic as an industry and as countries was absolute collaboration between the public and private sector. And that collaboration was very evident in tourism between the National Hotel and Tourist Associations and the tourism boards. And if it wasn't for that level of partnership, many destinations formed task force. Jamaica was a leader in that. I think our task force was formed like 1 week after the pandemic, actually the first case in Jamaica. And what we recognize is that there was so much collaboration and effort in terms of training, in terms of ensuring that sanitation protocols was in place, in terms of communications into the international media, locally as well, in terms of supporting communities and workers who were displaced by the pandemic. We thought that it needed recognition. So last year was the first year, actually, we did this award. And this year, we took it a little bit further. So now coming out of recovery and going into growth, what are the systems and policies and unique programs that a destination has put in place to continue out of the recovery and to put in more things that will drive resilience going forward? So if we're ever faced, God forbid, with anything like this again or any other similar challenge, that we have the programs and the collaborative efforts structured and embedded in our DNA so that we can recover and recover faster. So Aruba was one of the destinations that was awarded last year. This year, as I said, we pivoted and expanded it to focus on more sustainability and resilience. And Jamaica was awarded the destination this year in the category of over 500,000 tourist arrivals, while Eleuthera in the Bahamas won for the under 500,000 for their efforts and what they have been doing on the ground to ensure that we use the learnings from the pandemic to continue to grow out and develop on resilience and sustainability.
All right. As we wrap up here, gentlemen, we also found out today that Marketplace 42 will be held in Jamaica. Talk to us about that, President.
Well, we've been 5 years since we last held Marketplace in Jamaica, and we are very excited to return to Jamaica, of course, my home country. We are looking to continue the kind of diversity and growth in terms of CHTA Marketplace. We will again be having our travel forum, and we're looking to partner with the Global Tourism and Crisis Management Center to have an expanded program to what we normally do. Of course, we'll have our regular trade show, and there'll be other special things to be announced. So, pay attention. It's going to be very interesting. And just like how we did for Barbados, with Barbados being the gateway to the east, and so we had a lot more of the Eastern Caribbean islands participating in this marketplace. We are also looking to see how we can use Jamaica to focus on the Northern Caribbean and multi-destination marketing and seeing how we can promote that as well. As you know, that's a big focus for CARICOM, for CTO, for CHTA, and of course Minister Bartlett has been championing that. So Marketplace 42 in Jamaica is going to come a little bit more different, as Barbados was different, and that's part of what our strategy is, to continue to offer a new and different marketplace every year with different activities and really value to our members, of course, and of course our partners in terms of the tour operators, travel agents, media, etc.
All right, the voice there.
Nicky, can I steal 10 seconds?
10 seconds.
Because we started this program this morning about education. And when I listened to you, I had pimples. Because here is somebody that is so attractive in your presentation on tourism that Ronnie and myself, without reading the script, want to hear this coming out of our schools.
She went to Alpha,
Indeed.
Yes, I'm an Alpha girl. I heard that in the back.
I'm serious.
Listen.
I want to hear the excitement in our teachers, like I hear excitement in our
tourism. We give you the message.
Because the education there is going to make your tourism improve.
Well,
and we are doing a lot in that regards. A lot more in training, a lot more in embedding tourism as one of the subjects in schools. Of course, we have our tourism action clubs where we work with the schools and expose our students with what is happening in the labor market and the fact that some of our really great talent has been exported to other markets who want to see that Jamaican talent work with them in, because of course it's a global shortage of labor. We are attracting more young people to the industry, and we're doing things and putting things in place to ensure that they understand. But I want to just indulge me a little bit. It's not just about getting a job in the industry. Our theme yesterday was using tourism as a driver of wealth creation for generational wealth for Caribbean nationals. So we are also educating persons about the opportunities for ownership, whether it is a micro, small or medium size ownership, for ownership in the industry, whether it is as a hotel or attraction, a villa, an apartment, whatever it is, or a supplier to the industry in agriculture. We do a lot in terms of manufacturing. We have persons who are now doing spa products and different things that supply the industry. So it is an education of the opportunities in tourism, not just to work in the industry.
All right. Gentlemen, we have to cut it there because she is needed elsewhere as well. You can't have her all to yourselves, gentlemen. And let me tell you, she's doing a remarkable work in her capacity as chairperson of president of the Jamaica of the Caribbean Hotel,
while holding down my full-time
while holding down her full-time job. But we're gonna take a break from here just to let you know that the conversations will continue from Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41 here in Barbados. When we come back after the top of the hour, of course we'll be leaving New York, I think, but we'll be remaining with you there in Jamaica. I want to say thank you very much, Nicola, for what you're doing and continue to do. Of course, as an alpha girl, you said, what is expected? Just the best. Gentlemen, we're going to throw it back to you now.
This is The Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM in Kingston, Jamaica. This has been The Global Connection with Irwine Clare of Irie Jam in New York, broadcasting from the Tourism Conference in Barbados. They'll stay with us afterwards. Stay tuned. This is The Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM. Pearnel, Charles and myself are in studio. Irwine Clare is in Barbados. When he wants to join in, he's welcome to do so. Later on in...
I heard the advertisement from KFC.
Yeah.
And I was about to tell you that I went to a KFC 2 days ago.
You could get in there?
And something new was happening.
What happened?
The line was so long. What they have now done is get somebody inside with a computer and come outside and take 6, 7, 8, 9, take the orders.
And then get it ready by the time you come
get round there.
Yes, that's it. That's good customer service.
And that's from 99.
Technology. Okay.
So you start. Well, let me ask you this, gentlemen, as we welcome you back to,
thank you.
to the Bridge 99 FM. I'm not in New York now, so I thank you guys for accommodating me as I come to you live from the Caribbean Marketplace 41 here, Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41 in Bridgetown, Barbados. You spoke of KFC, but you're speaking of it as the type of service they offer now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was just wondering.
No, that's important.
Yes,
okay.
That's very important.
And I have to tell you that fried chicken in Jamaica tastes different and better than what you have in New York. So.
All right, well, listen.
I'm not branding anything, but
all right. No, but there's a
Ah.
KFC man saying to you, we have the same formula.
But
we know how it's different.
Listen, let's bring it back from the chickens, though.
Sure.
And then get back to people. One of the sponsors at the Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41 here in Barbados is a brand out of Jamaica, and Choco. And gentlemen, I, as a Jamaican living overseas, whenever we see our homegrown brands in our midst, it is a sense of pride. It also represents for us a sense of entrepreneurism, but just how global impact we can be and how our products are making global impact. And it's the same thing that goes to Grace Kennedy at the pen relays, when we see them. The same thing here in Barbados. Choco, as a sponsor here at Marketplace 41, is also has its products here in Barbados. I have with me right now to talk to us about that Miss Marsha Morris, who is having a gulp of water before she comes on, gentlemen. She's a destination manager for this company. And Marsha, Choco, of course, is synonymous with Jamaica.
Yes, it is. Yes, we are.
You are now in Barbados. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's an honor. I do attend these shows yearly, and it has been an awesome experience. And the fact that we are a sponsor 2 years in a row, having our directors being a part of the show yesterday for the forum, it's really great. And the fact that being here, we do have our Harrison's Cave on our newest attraction here in Barbados. So it's quite an honor for us to be here, and we're excited.
Before we speak of the attraction here, Choco, of course, is synonymous with attractions, which are a very important component of the tourism experience. Share with us the plethora of some of the products you have.
Well, let me start with Jamaica. We started out in 1983 with our signature tour, which is horseback ride and swim. It started out at Choco Cove in Ocho Rios, and that tour has been, as I said, the signature tour for 40 years. We're actually celebrating 40 years this year of being Choco Caribbean Adventures in Jamaica and into the other Caribbeans. However, it's not just horseback. We do have zip lining, we do have horseback riding, we have ATVs, we have catamaran sails, we even have zip lining over Duns River Falls. We have zip lining over YS, and we are now the general sales agent for the famous Appleton Rum Tour.
So being here in Barbados is an extension of the quality attractions that you provide in Jamaica.
Absolutely. And we're not just in Barbados. We're also in Turks and Caicos. We're in the DR. We're in Belize, and another one coming soon. I can't say yet.
Gentlemen, a global brand indeed. Wouldn't you say, Ronnie?
Sounds so. We watched it and been mindful of it, and particularly remembering Danny Melville, indeed one of the founders, if not the founder, of the Choco Cove enterprise, and a family business which has broadened, all to the good of Jamaica's tourism. And I like the nature and the uniqueness of the attractions. That was what Minister Bartlett was speaking about. And tremendous capital investment by local people. I've just finished reading Danny's autobiography written with Rachel Manley, and it is a kind of investment in the region and in the country that we welcome.
Indeed. Gentlemen, I also have with us, because when I imagine Choco goes into areas like these, we have local partners, and with us too is Miss Leah Roach, sales and marketing manager here for Harrison's Cave, part of the Eco Adventure Park of Barbados, and of course the brand here, Chukka Cove, which is the entity that manages it. Miss Roach, speak to our listeners now about Harrison's Cave. What is Harrison's Cave?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Well, Harrison's Cave Eco Adventure Park is one of Barbados's premier attractions. So everyone would have been aware of our cave before, but now with Chukka on board, headlining and managing the entire facility, there has been some wonderful additions such as the zip line. So we now have a zip line again in Barbados, and it's the only one here. We have a 14-element challenge course, which is a very great challenge for anyone who likes to have those obstacles and climbing through barrels and that kind of mess.
You know, it might be something that Pearnel wants to try, Ronnie.
My heart is not as strong as it used to be. At 87, you must be careful.
All right. Go ahead, Leah.
Age limit. There's no age limit to it. You can go as as old
at his
as
own
you
pace.
are, you want.
At his own pace, right?
Yes, at your own pace.
Yeah.
Our guides will take you through it. We've also opened another phase to the cave where we have a pool by our pool bar and grill, and our nature trail with the bird aviary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how these products that Chukka has introduced, how have they been accepted?
So far they have been readily accepted, especially by the Barbadian public. And within the hotel circuit right now and the villas, many guests we get coming up, experiencing everything. They even try the rum tasting, because you can do that as an add-on tour, as we partner with Mount Gay. So their brands and all the rums there by Mount Gay are actually tasted there on property. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that Minister Bartlett mentioned today in his presentation was the whole aspect that on a collective sense, Jamaica has more attractions than the Caribbean combined. And tongue-in-cheek, when you think about it, the experiences, Ronnie and Pearnel, that a Chukka would now bring to Barbados after years, of course, of doing similar situations in Jamaica and elsewhere, it just adds value, and we can see this being replicated elsewhere.
Yes, that's definitely true. We have quite a bit of value that has been added to the cave, because before you used to come and you go do the cave tour
just
and
a
then
cave.
you leave.
That's a cave.
Yeah.
Right. Ronnie?
I didn't hear Minister Bartlett say that, because I would be surprised if Jamaica had more attractions than Cuba and the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, and as well as perhaps some other territories, But surely where our activity can be transported to other countries to mutual benefit, that is the essence of the Caribbean experience, isn't it?
Indeed.
Irwine, can I just add, with this new formula and that intelligence, artificial intelligence, right, where things can be done. You can be walking into a cave and a man fly over your head.
Well, listen, don't use that part of AI to scare me off now.
There's a difference.
But
you're right. Yeah, I know.
It's part of the attraction.
Yes, indeed.
Well, you prefer a lady fly to hug you then in the cave.
Well, listen. Control your partner there, please.
No. It's excitement in the cave,
And the reason, and it's interesting you should mention that, because at yesterday's presentation, the whole subject of artificial intelligence was a premier part of the production.
Yes.
And how this is part of the revolution of an evolution of tourism, and how some things
explain
will
that?
take
I
place.
don't see the connection.
Well, the whole aspect, sir, of information, the whole aspect of making determination as to where products go and where services go, the whole aspect of even removing some of the things now that are being done by humans as relates to data, as relates to information. So there's a whole swath of things that the tourism industry and CHTA has already begun to incorporate in their presentation. You had presenters who came yesterday who said that the whole presentation was done by AI.
While I don't fully understand, but I'm listening carefully, I would have thought that the essence of tourism, and particularly Caribbean tourism, is a human potential. And
that is true, but there are many aspects of it, Ronnie and Pearnel, that are oblivious to the public. And similar to, I want to say, the BPO industry, that can be done by non-humans, as they would say. But again,
to help. Increase its attraction.
Productivity primarily. But anyway, I just want to say thanks to Leah Roach, Sales Marketing Manager of Harrison Cove, part of Chucka's Harrison Cave, a part of Chucka's investment here in Barbados.
Yes.
And we look forward to hearing bigger and greater things.
Of course, there are more phases to come, so we keep the excitement coming.
All right, and we also want to say thanks, of course, to Marsha Morris, DMC Manager, which is Destination Management Company here in Barbados. Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, as we proceed, I don't know if it's up time to break. You tell me, but Ronnie, tourism, as we know it, I think the more you come to these events and you hear of the connections and how tourism plays roles in our lives. We frequently look at tourism as flying someplace, staying in a hotel, and enjoying the beach or going. But there are so many other things that are connected here, gentlemen.
Well, when a tourist comes to your country and do much of what Ronnie is trying and begging to have more of the expenses of our country taken up by the value of what tourism bring here. It's a major thing for us, We can't develop more unless we get more money, more people, more involvement, and don't forget, that's the human touch of somebody flying around the Caribbean and driving through. I saw somebody out in St. Thomas broke down in a car, and she obviously seen tourists, and somebody came over and helped them to fix the tire.
Sure.
And I stopped watching. And when the tire was on, they took out must be a $10 or $100 to give the person. And I said, no. Tell them thanks. You may go. I will take care of that. They said, what?
Yeah.
We don't have to pay?
No.
You're a tourist.
Which you see, there's a huge difference there, because that is the essence of the Caribbean personality.
Yes.
That is the soul of the industry. Where we debase it in terms of having it largely based on imported everything, and having a spirit of it which is sleazy and just libidinous rather than rich and textured and cultured. Then those are huge differences and part of the direction and the prospect that tourists must have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when they drove off, I was able to deal with my Jamaican man and say, we have helped them. Here's something from me.
We are not loose people. We are not prostitutes. We're not grabbing money. We are embracing the visitor. Yes.
Do you know how many people that person might have told when they get back home?
That's right.
What you did is worth than hundreds of thousands worth of advertisement.
Indeed. Gentlemen, one of the things too is that, of course, something that is of critical importance to me is the relationship between tourism and the environment. And when we look at the type of structures being built, what it does to our environment and our climate, and what role they're playing. We heard yesterday of cruise lines now that are being more, in their minds, being more better corporate citizens as relates to the climate and how it transacts its business. In many of the conversation you'll hear, people are now becoming more adept to the fact that they need to be more responsible, which as you know, Prime Minister Mayor Bartlett is one of the champions when it comes down to that whole situation of climate crisis. And we're small island states like ourselves find ourselves in being a lesser contributor to what's taking place, but reaping the hardships and the collateral damages from it. So there's some responsible movement afoot.
Hope so.
And I think that it's it's as important to ensure that the average man on the street also buys into it. One of the things that alarms me, gentlemen, and I hope we can have this discussion at another point, maybe with our minister too, is that when we have these major hotels that comes into our communities, and I'm relating now as a person living outside of Jamaica, when we look at big box stores that comes into our community, the impact studies that are done and the trade-offs that are made with the communities. Sometimes I wonder, gentlemen, what is the trade-off for Jamaica when a major hotel is built in your community, which will impact the community? What is the trade-off? And I hear about the jobs and all that, but I'm talking about the social infrastrucures. I'm talking about the situation as what happens to the whole situation of daycare, healthcare, transportation, schools, community centers, etc. Are there some benefits that flows in those directions? These are things that I think needs to be addressed.
And I think you have just given a lecture to the government because trust me, no, I'm serious. I was there for many years. I never made a presentation that incorporate what you have just said, but it hits me so much that if we were doing that all over the island, more people would want to get that come into their community, and the contribution of that, you'd see more development from it, and I think that's the way we need to go. What's running?
Indeed. I have some real deep systemic issues, but those are for another time. Irwine, we need to take the break. When we come back,
actually, Ronnie, this is where I leave you guys, gentlemen. And I just want to say thanks very much as I come to you live from Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41. I want to say thanks to Irie Jam, the Bridge 99, and all those who made our broadcast possible, especially to the folks here on the Barbados side, Barbados Tourism Management Inc. here, for allowing us the space and the time. And of course, we'll be making some drops on this platform as well as Irie Jam as to what is taking place here at Caribbean Travel Marketplace 41, being held in Bridgetown, Barbados. This is Irwine Clare saying until next time. Thank you, gentlemen.
Bye, Irwine. Looking forward to next time.
Congratulations, Irwine. You did very well there. I mean,
thank you very much, sir.
It seems as if you wanted to stay.
I am staying here. Okay, bye-bye.
Very good.
When we come back from the break, Rastan Hyman, the financial analyst, joins us. Soon come. It's a Public Eye on the Bridge 99 FM with the Honorable Pearnel Charles Sr. and myself. Welcome, Rastan Hyman.
Good afternoon, Ronnie. Good afternoon, Sir P. How are you doing, boss?
My brother, I've been boasting about you. I've been saying that for the past few months. You're a new headmaster, teaching me certain things.
Hey, you can't tell a Casey boy that, you know.
Why?
It's boast like anything.
Like how me is a little outside school man. We can't look at the bright boys like you and say, not true.
All right, good. Enough said. Ransom Howard.
Judges is Casey. Yes.
Yeah, there you are. We need your help as a financial analyst, a commentator. Why is America in such a high amount of debt, and they have taking more debt every year or so? Why is this a continuing problem, Rastan Hammond?
Well, there was the military build-up in the 1980s when the ceiling was increased from 1 trillion to 3 trillion. Then we had the 1990s again, the military build-up when the ceiling was increased to nearly 6 trillion. Then in the 2000s, the thing with Iraq and all of those things, we saw the ceiling being increased to $12 trillion. Then we saw more money being printed up during the COVID-19 era and all of those things. So the last time the debt ceiling was increased was in December of 2021 by $2.5 trillion to $31.4 trillion. The debt ceiling is simply the maximum amount of money the U.S. government can borrow. So what we're seeing is that ceiling expired on January 19, and since then, Janet Yellen, the 77th Treasury Secretary of the Republic of the United States of America, has been using extraordinary measures to pay the bills. He said those measures will run out on June 1, hence the problem now.
So wait, let me understand, or let our listeners understand. America, to do all those things you've mentioned, America can't afford it, and therefore has to borrow the money to do those things from the rest of the world?
From the rest of the world. Remember, they are the locomotive of the international economy, and their currency is the reserve currency. So they can run all of these deficits and then borrow from everybody else.
Are they borrowing or they are printing?
They borrow and they also print.
They're borrowing and printing.
At the same time.
But how do you know, as an analyst, how do you pay back printing? How do you bring down that multi-trillion dollar? How do you bring it down? Who do you pay to? How do you...
Well, when they borrow, they have to pay the rest of the world, including China, for that money. When they print, they have to use the monetary policies that the Fed is using now to take that money back from the system.
But
from the system.
The important thing that you're telling us, I'm anxious to understand it fully, is that America is living beyond its means.
Of course, for a long time. But they exploit the position of their currency as a reserve currency. And that is why Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin and Mohammed bin Salman and all of those people from the BRICS, they are trying to reduce the importance of the US dollar as the international reserve currency.
Which would mean that they probably couldn't continue to do this indefinitely.
Precisely.
But then, no, hold on. There is an impasse right now between the Republicans and the Democrats about the extending this debt ceiling. How you see that working out? Before I ask you what its consequences.
Well, they always, at the last minute, come up with a solution. What the Republicans do is to use this to make a political point and to try to wring spending cuts out of the Democrats. And most of the spending cuts that they want is normally on the social side, social expenditure and those things. And that is why President Biden said this is wacko, because Kevin McCarthy wants the budget to be cut by $4.8 trillion, and it's mostly about social spending. When the Republicans run up the debt, it is mostly about military spending.
But wait, no. First of all, this money that the American government wants permission from its administration to borrow. This is not to borrow in the future only. This is to pay past debts.
Pay bills that are now falling due.
But my understanding on reading of the American Constitution is that there is a constitutional power to pay to meet their obligations. So
the 14th Amendment.
The 14th Amendment.
American debt must be paid. Yeah.
So even if Congress doesn't agree, they can't go against the Constitution and not pay the debts.
Well, that is why they always agree at the last minute. The Republicans use it as a technique to wring concessions from the Democrats, because the Republicans are the ones who raise the debt ceiling most. President Reagan raised it 18 times. Under Clinton, it was 8 times. 7 times under George Bush. 5 times under Barack Obama.
But what they're doing, they're trying to cut down the budget of any social program. I don't think that they're worrying about what is to be paid back. But they don't want, going to an election year, you have money to go into these social programs for political reasons.
Well, some of it is not political reasons. Some of it is just for sound economic reasons in order to keep the economy going and to provide more equity. So they're against taxing the rich most, and they're also against the government spending more on the people.
So the effect of this indecision right now is having a jittery effect on the financial markets?
On the global economy, everybody, because what is happening, it is coinciding with a process where many central banks, including the Federal Reserve Board, the American Central Bank, they are hiking interest rates in order to contain inflation. Now, if there's a default on the debt, then it means that interest rates will have to go even higher. So the people's mortgage rates will go higher, your car loans will go higher, your credit cards will go higher. And countries like Jamaica, which have a whole lot of debt denominated in US dollars, you'll have to find more money to service that debt.
Well, you see,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I want you to emphasize that, because Pearnel's little gentleman on Red Hills, who always calls him, he's saying now, wiping his brow and saying, boy, I'm glad I'm living in Jamaica and not in America, because what is going on in America can't trouble us in Jamaica. Is he right or wrong?
No, man. What happens in America affects the entire world. America is the locomotive of the global economy and Jamaica's major trading partner. 70% of our remittances come from America. 70% of our tourists come from America. 50% of our exports go to America. And over 50% of our imports come from America. So America is very important to Jamaica. What happens in America affects the entire world, including Jamaica.
And does that go beyond Jamaica? I mean, can you call many more names that
of course,
depend on the Americas?
The entire world. China, Europe, everybody. What we're seeing is that the global economy is currently slowing down. If there's a debt default in America, we'll have a protracted slowdown in the global economy. Many people will lose their jobs, and it is going to be a catastrophic situation, as the Treasury Secretary said.
So the vote in the Congress is not only to prevent Biden from getting his social programs, because if they block it,
what they're doing is screwing the rest of the world, including us in Jamaica.
The rest of the world will show into the problem.
Precisely.
So we have an interest in that game then?
Of course, most certainly. Most certainly.
Okay, so hold on now. How can we reduce that interest or that vulnerability, Ralston Hammond? Because there's another aspect of this thing that we wanted to get your understanding of. Because Jamaica's announced this week record trade deficits.
Mm-hmm.
We are importing multiples of what we export. Now we hope that the tourism that we talked of in the earlier segment of the program will provide some foreign exchange to make up that difference, but it can't continue to cover that indefinitely or fully.
It can't cover it. So look at what happened. The trade deficit last year was $5.83 billion. We imported $7.73 billion, and we only exported $1.901 billion. We imported $2.4 billion in raw materials and intermediate goods, $2.4 billion in fuel, $1.85 billion in food. Now, what we got from
$1.85 billion US dollars of food imported every year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What we got from the remittances were $3.2 billion and $1.45 billion from tourism. So that is less than the trade deficit. So that couldn't cover the deficit.
So say again, no? What we got from exports and what we got from tourism, foreign exchange.
Yes. $3.2 billion from remittances, $1.45 billion from tourism. So that's about $4.8 billion. But the trade deficit was 5.8, so we're $1 billion short.
So how are we holding the dollar where it is, Doctor?
Well, if you notice now, we're trading at 155 and change, moving to 156.
And there's been record interventions.
$1 billion since COVID-19. So what we need to do is to develop policies, to deal with the energy side. So we have to reduce the energy bill. We have to develop policies, more innovation, in order to reduce the amount of raw materials that we are imported from abroad, particularly for the agricultural sector. We can do some of that in Jamaica. We also have to develop policies to reduce the massive food and consumer import bill.
Well, so can I ask you?
Yes,
because if I was in an office, I'd say to you, what the hell can we stop importing to cut down this that we don't need? I mean, do I have to go down to Marcus Garvey Drive and look left? Or do I have to go to Manchester and look in all the yards?
No, but you can do more than that. We were talking with Ed Bartlett earlier, Ralston, at the tourism conference, and I asked him about the retention of foreign exchange from the tourist spend. Yes, and he agreed that we needed to have measures to linkages, huh?
Yes,
but I didn't say it then, but I'm going to say it now. He should have had the Minister of Agriculture beside him in Barbados at that tourism conference. Because the greatest advantage, it seems to me, is if we produced enough of what the tourism want to eat and to use. Not just food is major, but entertainment, attractions, everything. Yes, then we would keep more of the tourism dollar to contribute to the deficit. We would import less.
Correct.
Yes, and we would export more because Barbados and St. Lucia and Turks and Caicos Islands, them can't produce what we can produce. But we are not doing that.
Right. So those are the things that we need to do. We have to use up the sun. We have to use up the wind in order to reduce the energy bill.
Two things.
All those things.
One of our major contributors to the trade deficit is the amount of fossil fuel that we import into this country. But then
we have to stop importing that many cars.
Exactly. And I want to see 3 or 4 major solar energy or wind turbine projects funded and operating in Jamaica. Now we don't see it.
No, precisely, because there's no industrial policy, no direct policy to deal with this thing. So when we're talking to Minister Clark, it's not that we're fighting him. What we're saying is that what is happening now, we can't just say that we're going to have a policy where we bring down the debt, make sure the budget is balanced, and then leave the economy to run itself. Because if you leave the economy to run itself, this is the result that you are going to get. That's all we are saying.
Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we want to think further for the future for Jamaica, bearing in mind our relationship and dependence on the United States and all that's happening there, and more what we can do for our own selves. Soon come. On the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, talking with Rastan Hammond of Real Business on Power 106. Rastan Hammond, there are things then that we can do that we ought to be spending on that could lower our vulnerability to the shudders and foibles of the American financial system?
Most certainly. I mean, the trade numbers tell us that what we need to do. So we need to spend more on innovation, education, science and technology so that we can develop more indigenous raw materials so that we do not have to spend $2.4 billion on imported raw materials. Energy is crying out for assistance, $2.4 billion again, and the food bill, $1.8 billion. So we know what we are supposed to do, and we need to do those things. We can't just say, follow the Washington consensus and say, boy, let's bring the debt down, balance the budget, and everything will take care of themselves. That's old-time economics. That's not working.
Well, it's not. People are really suffering in the meanwhile, you know.
Yes.
I mean, the cost of living is being affected by all of these tremors that we're talking about.
Most certainly.
So, what are you expecting? That there will be some 11th hour settlement in Washington as
usual? There'll be some 11th hour settlement, but the situation will deteriorate until. So you see, the markets are extremely volatile at this particular point in time. What we saw with the inflation number this morning is a signal that there's going to be more rate increases by the Fed, maybe to about 5.25%, 5.5% per annum, which puts us under more pressure down here in Jamaica in terms of maintaining the stability of the dollar, because we're not generating enough foreign exchange, and what we're doing is using the reserves to manipulate the exchange rate.
But in fairness, the reserves are higher than they've ever been, and we seem to have, by comparison to 2 or 3 years ago, we seem to have arrived at some kind of mechanism whereby we use them judiciously in order to refill Monadam.
But here's the problem. We are not generating more, so what we're seeing is that the BOJ is competing with those who want foreign exchange in order to purchase goods and services, and that helps to put pressure on the rate and drive down the rate. That is why we are below 155 now, going back to 156. We need to earn more foreign exchange.
So manipulation and tactics cannot be substitutes for increased earnings.
Precisely, putting our people to work and earning more foreign exchange.
The argument that quickly follows is that look at the construction industry. There are more high-rises going up. There are more apartments that are being constructed. Surely this is putting people to work. Don't you see the unemployment figures gone down? Isn't what you ask happening, albeit slowly?
But what is starting telling us is that although we see all of these high-rise buildings on the cranes, the construction sector is down by 4% in terms of its contribution to GDP. Again, while we are seeing this, we are seeing that some 750,000 persons are still outside the labor force doing all kinds of things.
Is it an absence of understanding of these options, because they appear to be if not, I don't mean obvious, but they're certainly evident that these are the things we should do to be more self-sufficient, to be better able to earn our way out of our problem, rather than to have to be saying prayers for Washington's sanity.
Precisely, it's about adherence to the neoliberal dogma. Rather than moving in that direction, what we're doing is sticking strictly with the neoliberal dogma, which is outdated globally. America dealing with industrial policy.
We noticed this morning that many of our companies in Jamaica are hesitant to declare dividends. I was particularly taken by the fact that National Commercial Bank, perhaps the largest and strongest company listed in locally, is having a dividend drought. What are they doing?
They say they are uncertain about the future, so they want to build up their reserves and their cash pile. And if you look at what is happening in the financial sector globally, That's the situation.
No, brethren, hold on now. They're saying that they are uncertain about the future. But if they are uncertain about the future, what about us?
Right. Exactly.
Well, they are uncertain about us. In other words, the uncertainty is because they don't know what we are going to do.
No, their bread is buttered, you know.
but they're holding on to the bread because they think we might wipe off the butter.
Yeah, but they still want more butter on the bread.
No, but the system can't work. And this is...
it's not working. It's not working. And that is why we need to fundamentally change the way the system operates. It's not working.
Mr. Hyman, I'm going to put you in a bad position right now.
Okay, yes, sir.
I'm going to say to you as an economist and a man, I am Prime Minister, and I am calling and say, listen, Hyman, tell me, what the hell can I do to get this thing under control? Give me in a few minutes. Give me an idea. 1, 2, 3.
The first thing I tell you to do is to pay the debt on time and a schedule and not faster than a schedule. And then use those funds to provide incentives for people to invest in agriculture, to invest in renewable energy, and to invest in innovation so that we can reduce the amount of raw materials that we are importing.
And for God's sake, produce more food.
And produce more food, yeah.
I mean,
food security is key at this particular point in time.
10 years.
In a minute, we have been consistently saying this to this administration.
Yeah.
You know, something that happened to me this morning, I went into the bathroom. Yes. I turn on the pipe and get water.
Yes.
I said to Ronnie the other day, when all of these 8 and 10-story buildings come up, where are you going to get water to push it up there?
That's the point. Yeah.
I mean, somebody's talking about new wells, new this.
No time to
the
talk
water,
about it.
millions of gallons are flowing into the sea from Blue Mountain.
So what is so what infrastructure?
That is one of the things that we need to invest in terms of infrastructure.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So
those things we need to do.
So there is a way out. There are things that we can do which we are not doing that can make a difference for the ordinary people listening to us, for the anxious people in the diaspora who are hoping for the best for their people locally, who feel burdened that they have to send back so much when we could be doing better out here for ourselves. But then
precisely. And whether the debt ceiling is lifted or not, they will not be able to send back so much because the way the inflation numbers are running, the Fed will have to increase interest rates at least 1 more time or 2 more times, and that is going to cause the U.S. economy to flatline. The U.S. economy only grew by 1.1% during the first quarter, which is down from 2.6% during the fourth quarter of last year. These rate increases are having a negative impact on the economy. And then there's a problem in the regional banking sector. All those regional banks we are talking about, PacWest, Silicon Valley Bank, First Republic, all those banks, the credit is drying up in that sector because of the uncertainty. So what we are going to see, more people are going to lose their jobs in the U.S., and that is going to affect the flow of remittances and tourism to Jamaica.
That's all I know. If credit dries up, people lose their job. And if credit comes more, we have a problem. Straighten that out for me.
Well, so what you need, what they call it, is a balance. So what you want is sufficient credit to move the inflation, the economy, while keeping inflation at 2%, which is the target that the Fed set. Now, that's what you need to say. You don't have too much credit, and you don't have too little credit.
Sorry, hold on now. The Fed says 2% is the targeted inflation rate, and 5% was what was announced this morning.
Precisely. So they have to do more rate hikes.
But then there are those who would say that we are doing much better because our inflation rate is down to what now, 6 point something?
Well, we're at 6.2. I remember our rates have come down because the rates in the U.S. have come down. A lot of the inflation that we get is imported inflation. Yes. So as the U.S. comes down, we will come down too. But their thing, ours is 4 to 6. Their thing is 2. And 5.5 is way above 2. And that is why they need to do more rate increases.
Listen, Ronnie told you about my friend in Red Hills. And he said to me, tell Mr. Herman, tell him to tell we, if we were able to train more people, not only nurses and doctors, but in mechanics and this, and export them. Couldn't that be an industry in itself?
Of course, because one thing that we're seeing is that many people are migrating for various reasons. Some of them want a better life. They can't deal with security problems here. They can't deal with infrastructure problems. So what we need to do is to train the more people we can train, the more of those 750,000 persons that are outside the labor force, the more of them that we can train, the better for us. So if they go, we'll have more people. So all we need to do is to train. And that is why we're talking about more investments in education and training, science and technology. The Heart Trust needs to play a greater role. The more trained people we have, the better we are.
Rastan Hammond, thanks for the clear analysis. Grateful to you. We understand much more. Thanks for being a friend of the program.
Always a pleasure.
Have a good day, my brother.
Good.
Okay,
Rastan Hammond,
bye-bye.
financial analyst, public commentator, producer, presenter of the program Real Business on Power 106, graces us on the Bridge 99 with his unique kind of analysis. So now let us end on a note, because we've heard of and been attracted to the prospects of the growing tourism sector. We hear the minister asking for or pleading for more opportunities to retain the tourism dollar, greater proportions. We understand that to do that, we have to produce more of what the tourist needs. Yes?
And the major one is what?
Food.
Food.
There is no difference between what Minister Bartlett called for and what Mr. Hyman just recommended.
Exactly.
Could be helpful to reversing the danger of our position.
Except we have added one, which is training and education.
Absolutely. And fuel and energy substitution. Okay. So the question that we leave with so often is, why aren't we doing that which is clearly the imperative?
You know.
And I know your answer.
You know my answer.
Yes, sir. If we are divided, we can't do it. If we are looking at a fractured situation, which is where we're always looking over our shoulders to see who is going to vote for us and who is going to not.
We're looking who is making a mistake so that I can correct it to make power.
Absolutely, sir.
And let me help you make the mistake.
Yes, sir.
So that I can straighten it out.
I can benefit from that.
I can
say that I will do that. Foolishness.
The minute that we can say the mistake is mine, whether you make it or I make it. So therefore, let us not make that mistake.
On the public eye, on the Bridge 99, we provide a vision for a different kind of thinking, a different kind of relationship, a different kind of politics, a different kind of economics. We've offered you the best we can today to the members of the diaspora and our local audience. We're grateful for your company. Thank you, Mr. Charles. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, LaFane. Thank you, all those at the Bridge 99 who make this possible. The Public Eye will return next Wednesday.
Thank you, Mr. Trey.
Yeah.